Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and you too, little one. Call to order the Glendale Council meeting of October 15th, 2013. And, yeah, that's why I say an ungodly hour of 6:55 p.m. May we have a roll call?
Council members: Friedman.
Here.
Najarian.
Here.
Quintero. Sinanian.
Here.
Mayor Weaver.
Here. Our flag salute tonight will be led by Councilmember Sinanian, the invocation by Chaplain Al Garceloso of Glendale Adventist Medical Center.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for the invocation.
Let us pray. Our great God and Creator, giver of life, breath, wisdom, and intelligence, we are grateful to be here tonight at the City Council meeting. We are reminded that we are truly blessed in the city and state and country because we enjoy civil and religious liberties. I pray tonight that as we conduct this meeting, that you will bless our mayor and his family, as well as the other City Council members and their families. They do a great service and work for our city and need your protection and guidance. I also ask that you will bless all those who live and work here in Glendale. Now, as we conduct this meeting, I pray that you will forgive us where we have failed you and that you will guide our thoughts and actions. May they reflect your love and your compassion. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, and on behalf of the City Council, we sincerely apologize for the lengthy closed session because we had a lengthy afternoon session also. So this is a once-in-a-lifetime, I guess, long meeting. With that, may we have your report?
The agenda for the October 15, 2013 regular meeting of the Glendale City Council was posted on Thursday, October 10, 2013 on the bulletin board outside City Hall.
Next, please.
Next item is 3, presentation and appointments. 3A is the agenda preview for the meetings of October 22, 2013.
Ms. Beers.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, for the Glendale Housing Authority, we have no business agenda items. That afternoon, we do have a City Council and Glendale Successor Agency meeting to commence at 3 p.m. 2 items, agency approval of minutes, and secondly, Director of Economic Development, enforceable obligation implementation agreements for the proposed Lemley Lofts project, which is to be located on the northwest corner of Wilson and Maryland. That evening for the City Council meeting to commence at 6 p.m., we have a number of consent items: General Manager of Glendale Water and Power, extension of service agreement for real-time operations; Chief of Police, grant-funded purchase of automated license plate recognition system; General Manager of Glendale Water and Power, quitclaim of the City of Glendale utility easement on 301 North Central Avenue; Chief of Police, grant-funded sobriety checkpoint operations; General Manager of Glendale Water and Power, operation, maintenance, repair, and necessary upgrades of the airway receiving station. We have a few items under action: Director of Community Services and Parks, support for Alternative 20 of the LA River Ecosystem Restoration Integrated Report; Director of Community Services and Parks, this is an overview and status of Stengel Field Stadium; Directors of Public Works and Community Services and Parks, Maple Park Site Improvement Project, and this is in connection with spec number 3514. General Manager of Glendale Water and Power, payoff of debt owed to the U.S. Treasury for the Hoover Power Plant Visitor Center and air slots. And lastly, we do have a hearing, Director of Community Development, and this was continued from 10-1 and from this evening 10-15, and this is appeal of Design Review Board approval of application number 1234093, which is the property located on Pennsylvania Avenue. And that concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. What is next, please?
3B is presentation of the 2013 Rosie Award recipients.
And somebody that we all know, Michelle, you're up. Just your name for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council. My name is Michelle Pashai. I'm Secretary to the City Manager and also the Chair of the Rosie Award Committee. I have the honor of presenting you with the Rosie Award recipients for 2013. The Rosie Award is the highest recognition that can be given to a city employee by a city employee for outstanding dedication and commitment to exceptional customer service. This award is named after Rosie Flores Grzyski, who was a former secretary to the city manager and suddenly passed in 1991, leaving behind a legacy of compassion and superior customer service. I'd like to introduce to you Rosie's daughter, Lydia Armenta, and invite her to say a few words.
I would like to thank the mayor, the Rosie's Committee, and the City Council for continuing to honor my mother, Rosie Flores Grzyski, by presenting an award to the fellow city employees. As the nomination form states, my mother dedicated her life not just to her family, but to her career as secretary. For many years growing up, I can recall how proud she was to be working for the city of Glendale. She raised both myself and my brother to be responsible, to work hard, and most importantly, to treat others with respect, as this is how she lived her life. It is truly an honor that after her passing in July of 1992, all the years of dedication to the city of Glendale, she was honored not only with the beautiful rose garden here in the courtyard, a tree in the mayor's bicentennial park, but also with this amazing Rosie Award. My mother truly loved working for the city, and I know that she was truly appreciated and loved by those that had the pleasure of knowing and working with her. Once again, on behalf of Rosie's family, we thank you for this honor and congratulations to the recipients that have achieved her level of commitment.
Is this your first time here?
I was here for the first award that was given.
Because I've been here 17 years, and I was wondering, I just knew about Rosie and her family because I came on in 97. So it's finally nice to meet one of the family, finally. Thank you very much for coming tonight.
Oh, thank you.
Name.
Yeah, let me just say I did know her, and I'm sure there's plenty of people in the audience that knew her, and she was truly a lovely person and very professional. Everything that she did here in the offices, there were people out in the public that would compliment her, and so I'm very happy to see you, and I remember her really well, and anyone that knows her tonight is, I think, reflective of her daughter and her son, so thank you for coming.
Great, thank you. The Rosie Award Selection Committee is made up of representatives from the following employee groups: the Glendale City Employees Association, the Glendale Police Officers Association, the Glendale Firefighters Association, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 18, Glendale Management Association, and the Employee Human Relations Committee. I'd like to thank each organization for their time and contribution to the award. This year there were 9 nominees and 3 awardees of this very high honor. First, I'd like to invite Julio Hernandez to come up. Julio is a program specialist for the Community Development Department's Planning and Neighborhood Services Division. Julio has been with the city for 3.5 years, operating the city's court-ordered Community Service Workers Program. Last summer, Julio was overseeing an individual who was assigned community service hours for various drug offenses. The worker's father had passed away suddenly, and Julio encouraged the worker to get his life back on track in honor of his father. The worker went to rehab and has been clean and sober for the past 6 months. This and the many accolades Julio has received for his work helps make a positive impact on our community. With that, I present Mr. Julio Hernandez.
Don't speak yet, Julio.
Thank you very much.
No, don't speak yet.
Okay.
We have a plaque and a little envelope. Ms. Friedman, would you mind reading what's on it? I assume it's similar.
This isn't going to be
What?
easy. It's on glass, but I'll do my best. The Rosie Award is given annually in honor of Rosie Flores Grzyski, a special city employee who devoted her life to serving others in a caring and loving manner. Rosie personified the ideals of excellent customer service and warm human relations. After her family, Rosie's greatest source of pride and joy was her work with the city of Glendale. The recipient of this award, that's you, exemplifies the characteristics that Rosie demonstrated during her too brief but beautiful life: understanding, empathy, respect, kindness, and compassion in dealing with the citizens of Glendale, her fellow employees, and all people she dealt with. For this, she will be fondly remembered. And for what you've done, you've changed the life and you've inspired all of us with your actions. So I'm very happy to bring this down to you. Thank you. Thank you for being a model employee and citizen.
And now you may speak after the picture.
Okay, I want to thank everyone for this honor. I'm just here to do my job and do what I can do for the community, and do whatever I can to help whoever is in need or need help to do anything. I got hired to work, and I'm having the honor to get this award just to do my job, and that's what I do. Thank you.
Oh, you're very popular.
Next, I'd like to present Antonio Ligon. Antonio is a payroll specialist, too, for the finance department here at the payroll section, and has been with the city for over 9 years. Tony is known for providing exceptional customer service to all internal customers. That's his fellow employees here at the city. He is always available to answer questions and assist in any way possible with a pleasant demeanor. He often goes above and beyond the call of duty to ensure that employees get paid on time. Tony truly cares about the city, its employees, and its citizens, who ultimately benefit when things are running smoothly internally here in the city. And now I'd like to present Mr. Antonio Ligon.
The plaque reads identical, except it's your name.
Thank you. Thank you, Antonio, for your great work. I just wanted to say a quick thank you to all of you, everyone, for being here, including my family in the back. And I want to say thank you to all the great employees that you guys have working for you in the city, because they're the reason why I'm getting this. So thank you and thank them.
Last but certainly not least, Mansour Quader. Mansour is a systems analyst for the Information Services Department's Infrastructure Services Division. Did I get that? Okay. Mansour has been with the city for 7 years and is widely regarded by his fellow employees for his work ethic. He has received great positive feedback and praise from those that come into contact with him. Mansour has been known as a team player since the day he walked through the city doors. Mansour has a smile that's reflected both through his emails, in phone calls, and, as you can see, in person. So it's my honor to present to you Mansour Quader.
Wait, picture. Yours?
Yes, my son.
Ah. Tell him to come up. Okay. Mansour, you better lift him up. There you go.
Well, thank you very much for the reward. It's really an honor to be standing here among all of you. Special thank for my department, my family, and for the people who nominated me for this reward. I'm working for City of Glendale. It's my city, and I do my best to serve the city and the residents of the City of Glendale. Thank you very much.
Manzor, thank you for all the times you've been in my office on my computer. It's working A-OK right now. Okay. Congratulations to all the Rosie Road winners. You all know you're very popular in the city, or you wouldn't have been up here tonight. So I think, they get a picture taken together and it goes downstairs. It's downstairs already. Oh, fast. So be sure and go by and look at his smiling face, all of the faces. Okay, thank you. Moving right along, what's next, please?
Next is City Council and staff comments.
Comments? Ms. Friedman.
Wanted to mention a few events I went to this week. I think along with most of the city, I went to the dual event of the canines in the park along with the Kiwanis Duck Splash. We have a wonderful canine program in our police department, but it's not paid for by the city of Glendale. The crime-fighting dogs are supported by the Glendale Police Foundation, and every year they do this wonderful fundraiser called Canines in the Park, where the police dogs strut their stuff and show what they're capable of, which is very impressive, and low-cost animal vaccinations are given, etc. And I just want to congratulate the Police Foundation for another great event and for the work that they do. It was extremely well attended. Our dog enjoyed it. He got away briefly and caused quite a stir running around the event, but we did get him back, and we showed him police dogs at work and said, this is how a real dog acts. So we'll see if that makes an impression. And then the Kiwanis did their huge duck splash event, which is really something to behold. It raises money for charity, and I don't know who won the $10,000, but some lucky person won $10,000 by adopting a duck and giving to charity. So congratulations, Kiwanis. I attended Glendale Collects, which was a new event that I think will be a yearly event hosted by the Associates of the Brand Library. This event was to raise money to save and restore the historic murals that were found at the Brand Library underneath the spray-on stucco. They were badly damaged, but thanks to the Associates of the Brand Library, I believe they raised enough money to be able to restore and display the murals. So that's a great gift to the people of Glendale. I hope everyone comes to the Brand Library to see those murals, and congratulations to the Associates. And lastly, I was able to address the Seroptimists at their fall workshop, and this was the entire region, I believe, of Seroptimists. And it was really empowering to be in a group of powerful, giving women who are there to make a difference for the lives of women and girls locally and around the world, and to welcome them to Glendale. I want to thank all of the Seroptimists that are out there and urge anybody who's interested in helping to improve the lives of women and girls to join the Seroptimists. Look them up. They do incredible, incredible work. They're very selfless and very giving. So congratulations. I'm sure that they had a wonderful event. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
There's no others. I'd just like to make a comment about the canine. I decided to go with my wife. It starts at 11. We got there at 11. All the parking lots were jam full. I drove north, and for 3 blocks going north on La Cañada, and on every side street was posted no parking. So I would have had to park a mile or so away, and my wife and I thought, well, that's a little much to walk all that long distance. It's not that long, I need the exercise. But just to emphasize how popular those 2 events are, and I already wrote the police department, apologized, and it says 11 o'clock next year. I'll be there at 9 o'clock so I can get up there. So with that, there's only one other Mr. Quintero.
You go ahead.
Oh, I just have one. I had the pleasure of attending the 2nd annual Korean Armenian Festival on Sunday in Crescenta Valley at the CV High School. A wonderful event which was attended very well and attended by all segments of our society, our community, not just Koreans or Armenians, and really a great opportunity for intercultural exchange and some genuine cultural attributes like singing and dancing, stuff that you wouldn't otherwise know about the people that you live with on a daily basis. So I just want to thank all those that were involved in organizing it, thank everyone who showed up, and hope that there's a third one next year. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Quintero.
Yeah, if you, starting with the airport outreach efforts at Bob Hope Airport, we had a formally noticed meeting to reach out to Burbank residents and anyone else that wanted to attend, and it's an excellent presentation by the staff. And so we're going to continue to do these types of meetings to make sure that everyone in Burbank gives their input on the possibility of a new terminal, of relocating the terminal, and then the developments off of Hollywood Way. And in fact, perhaps in the next few weeks, or certainly before the new year, before the holiday break, we'll have Dan Fager and some of the other staff members come to let Glendale know about the airport. Following that, Woodbury University, there was an event that kind of designated the airport as one of the movers and shakers. I'm not sure if it was a commission that they were honoring. Maybe it was a commission, but anyway, it was a great program. Woodbury continues to grow. Then the Filipino Heritage event was excellent, very, very well attended, with all of the music, and the Consul General also spoke. And then finally, the American Armenian Theatrical Association, and the two best actors on the dais were there, Mr. Najarian and myself. And we didn't receive any awards, but it was a very well-attended event with lots of music and performances by all the different Armenian actors, actresses, singers, and they honored Victor Martirosyan, who's a wonderful man who's really had a dual career, theatrical types of things, but he's also been very active in law enforcement here in Southern California.
And the Filipino event, as you know, my wife's Filipina. She made the front page of the news press. It was her day to shine, along with other former presidents of the association. So I was very proud of her in getting on. Anyway, I have one more. I asked Chief DePompa to come here and speak on something I saw on television this morning that pleased me greatly. And I thought the whole community should know about it now.
Mr. Mayor, before the chief actually begins, would it be okay to announce to anyone in the audience that's here for an item 9A, the public hearing, the appeal hearing, that has been continued at the request of the appellant to next week? That's the date certain. It will be heard next Tuesday.
Thank you. Okay, Chief.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, thank you so much for the invitation to come speak a little bit about what you saw on the media today. And that is that the FBI has released their finalized crime data for 2012. And when they do that, they look at the 279 cities in the United States with a population over 100,000 and rank them. And so we're excited about our position. We brought this preliminary information to you a couple months ago, but with it finalized, we wanted to again share it with you because I think it's very important to us. We realized a 12% decrease in Part 1 crime, and that those are 8 crimes, 4 violent crimes and 4 property crimes. We've this last year we accomplished a 12% decrease in these UCR Part 1 crimes. It's done 2 important things for us, both at the national ranking and state ranking perspectives. Nationally, we have moved to number 9 out of those 279 cities with over 100,000 population. And it's important to realize that you look back just a few short years, 2008, we were number 17. So we've made significant gains over the last several years at the national ranking. Another important thing that you didn't see in the data is that when you look at the top 10 cities in the nation, only 4 of them actually experienced a crime reduction. That means 6 of them were going the other way. And certainly Glendale was amongst that 4, but only 2 in the nation had a double-digit level of crime reduction. And that was Edison Township in New Jersey, Glendale, California. So that's a lot to be proud of, I think, for this community. The state ranking, we've moved up in our top 10 ranking to number 5. And again, looking back at just a few short years ago, 2008, we were number 11. So good gains there. Within that top 10 group, only 3 experienced a decrease in crime, and only 1 experienced a double-digit decrease, and that was Glendale. So it's good news. I think it's something we can all be very, very proud of. You know, look at the last 5-year period, and we've decreased Part 1 crime by 27%, and that's despite the fact that we are facing the challenges of the Great Recession, prison reform, and really unprecedented reductions in local government to include law enforcement. So I think we've weathered the storm very, very, very well. And as I've said so often, this doesn't happen by accident. It starts with the leadership of this political body and the fact that you continually make public safety a number 1 priority. It is augmented by the fact that we have a community that truly cares about the quality of life here in Glendale. And finally, I tell you, the men and women of the Glendale Police Department are the finest, most capable police professionals you'll find anywhere in the country. And it's been an honor and a pleasure to serve with them, and we're really excited to bring these results to you and the rest of the community.
Chief, what is our ratio of police to residents compared to other cities?
Well, and what we do, we by ratio, we measure the number of sworn officers per 1,000 residents. We're at 1.2. Which is substantially low for our area in Southern California. And just to give you a quick comparison, to match the ratio in Burbank, we'd have to add over 70 sworn officers. To match Pasadena, we'd have to add over 115 sworn officers to get to their ratios. So we've got a small but mighty army. And I think, again, it bespeaks not only to the commitment of this community to keep our neighborhood safe, but certainly to the capability of our employees at the Glendale Police Department.
Chief, if we could give you that number of officers that Pasadena has in proportion, we could take care of a lot of the reckless speeders in this city. We could take care of a lot of the pedestrian accidents that are occurring. We're stretched very, very thin, and to do this the limited number is amazing. Would you make sure that council gets that? And is that going to be on the website in big, bold letters?
We will most certainly post it on the website and make that available to you.
How can we be any more proud than be 9th in the whole United States? That's something.
It's a lot
number
to be,
1 in 3 or 4 categories.
A lot to be proud of, that's for sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Very welcome. Stay safe. I just had to do that. I woke up and heard that on the news. That really hit me. Okay. What is next, please?
Next is consent items, including minutes. The following are routine and may be acted upon by one motion. Any member of the audience requesting separate consideration may do so by making such request before a motion is proposed.
I'll move the consent calendar.
Second. A roll call.
Council members: Friedman.
Yes.
Najarian.
Yes.
Caro.
Yes.
Nanyan.
Yes.
Mayor Weaver.
Aye. Next, please.
Next item is oral communications. This will be the 3-minute portion reserved for community event announcements. We'll revisit the full 5-minute portion at the conclusion of the agendized city business.
Thank you. First speaker is, up above, Doris Tweet and Gerald Tomczyk, speaking for the Red Cross Board of Directors.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, Mr. Ochoa, and staff. My name is Doris Tweet, and I'm here tonight with Ron Farina and Jerry Tomczyk, representing the Glendale Crescenta Valley chapter of the Red Cross. And we're here to invite you to the 22nd annual Fritz Coleman Comedy Night. First, we have a video by Fritz.
Hello,
Hello, beautiful Glendalians. It's me again, Fritz Coleman, here to support my friends at the Glendale Crescenta Valley American Red Cross. Can you believe it? I'm asking you to join me for the 22nd annual Fritz Coleman comedy show. But 22 years, it's like a marriage. If it lasts 22 years, it must be good. If you haven't come to see it, you need to see what people have been talking about for 22 years. It's Sunday, November 3rd, 7 o'clock at the gorgeous Glendale Center Theater, and thank you so much to the beautiful Deep Line family. They are beyond generous. 324 North Orange Street. Tickets are $30. You can call 818-243-3121. That's 818-243-3121. That's the Red Cross headquarters, and they have lovely folks there to answer your calls. You can also get the VIP tickets for $70 a piece, or two for $120. This includes reserved seats and a pre-show dinner at the Phoenicia restaurant. That has been our headquarters for these wonderful experiences for many, many years. You will enjoy the meal. It's a great way to start the night, and I promise you laughs. We're going to have 3 or 4 of the best comics in the business. Many of them you will recognize from their many appearances on television. So it's Sunday, November 3rd, 7 o'clock, Glendale Center Theater. Please come and join us and have a laugh. We need it these days, don't we? And I promise not to wear this Argyle sweater.
Well, I think Fritz has pretty much covered everything I had on my, what I was going to say. However, there is one correction. Tickets, general admission tickets are $25, not $30. And if you have not come to the event prior, if you talk to anyone who has, they'll tell you it's just a fun-filled evening and worth every penny. The show is at 7 o'clock, so if you don't go to the VIP reception, you can go to dinner before, you can go to dinner after, and the comedians, it's a clean show. You can bring your family. Jerry?
Yeah, it's a very good show. I mean, we've had rave reviews, and we sell out every year. We're getting a little bit later start than we usually get in selling tickets and trying to get everybody out to see the show. So. And also the dinner is a fabulous dinner that we serve. Wine and food at Phoenicia is outstanding. So
Sure is.
Look forward to seeing some of you people show up, and hopefully a lot of members of the community will show up also.
Thank you.
And again, the number to call if
Sure.
you want tickets is 243-3121, or if you have my number or know how to get a hold of me, I have tickets also.
We'll find you.
I'm sure. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you. Okay, next speaker, Paula Devine.
Mayor Weaver, City Council, and staff, Paula Devine. I'm here wearing 2 hats tonight. First of all, Glendale Healthy Kids, and I want to thank everyone in the community that had anything to do with Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, whether they provided a house or bought a ticket or were a sponsor. I know Councilmember Friedman attended and Councilmember Quintero, and thank you to your wife for performing at the venue. It was a big hit, and she's thank you so much to her. So that's the first hat. Second hat is for the Commission on the Status of Women, and I come bearing gifts with Commissioner Weissman. A couple months ago, Chair Miller and I attended the NACW, the National Association of Commissions for Women convention in San Jose, and our commission was fortunate enough to be able to sponsor the bags, and since you've outlawed plastic bags in Glendale, we thought maybe we'd bring these to you so that you could carry your groceries or whatever in them. And you can see that there were 25 states represented at the convention, and so these bags are in at least that many states representing our Women's Commission. We heard some really good speakers. Betty Dukes was one of them. She's the litigator in litigation with Walmart about equal pay and workplace fairness. So, and also there were some vets there talking about sexual assault in the military, and we came back with, I think, some very good ideas for our commission. The second and the last portion is the Purple Ribbon event. This is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. The Commission is very dedicated and working very hard on our domestic violence vigil, our candlelight vigil, which is Thursday night at 6 o'clock at the YWCA on Lexington. Always a very moving and empowering event. Our second event is new this year, and we're calling it the Purple Ribbon Event. And we've got 4 locations, 2 at the Galleria, and we thank General Growth for that, 1 at Massage Envy and the other at the Montrose Market, and we are going to paint the town purple. We're going to be handing out purple ribbons to everyone that we can at all of those locations. As you notice, the police department has come out with little badges for us for fighting domestic violence and raising awareness. We will be giving information resource guides to everyone that requests them on resources for victims and information to raise awareness and educate the public about domestic violence so that we can end this situation in our city. So the locations, Glendale Galleria will be from noon until 4. Montrose Market will be from 9 until 2. Commissioner Weissman will be there. And Massage Envy will also be from 9 until 2. So we're hoping to catch a lot of people in the net and raise awareness of domestic violence. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Paul. Next speaker is Keith Soren.
Well, good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Evening.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's great to see everybody awake at such a late hour, but you all look good. So thank you very much for the time. I'm here to talk about the Hoover High School Tour of Homes. For those that have been in Glendale for a while, you probably sound familiar. The tour is in its 56th year, but we've taken it to a little bit different level. We're actually trying to leverage it to raise scholarship for Hoover seniors. Last year, what was the most money we've distributed so far? We distributed $14,000. This year, our goal is $20,000. And we accomplished that 2 ways. One of them is by selling tickets to the tour. There are 4 luxury homes that will be on tour this year. And the date of the tour is Saturday, December 7th. But the other way we raise funds is by selling sponsorships. And our goal this year is to sell $12,000 in sponsorships and hopefully $20,000 in ticket sales. So if there's anyone out there that's interested in more information of either being a corporate sponsor, you can go to hoovertourofhomes.org and get information there. And in addition, we're having a kickoff for sponsors because we want to make this a cooperative event. You can buy a business card ad for $50. You can be a major sponsor for $1,000, but we want everybody in the community to have a role in this. And the kickoff event is going to be Wednesday, the October 23rd at 5:30 p.m. The Anoush Restaurant at 1320 West Glen Oaks has generously donated the restaurant, and everyone is invited to attend. We want to highlight the power of community, citizens, the schools, and civic leadership. And when they come together, it's a great thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, that's it. I have no more cards. What is next, please?
Next item on the agenda at 8A is Director of Library, Arts and Culture and Public Works regarding additional
Oh, wait.
There's one more. We have
Wait.
Mr. Leon Mayer.
How could I forget you, Leon? You're sitting in the front row.
Thank you.
Sorry, Leon.
Thank you, Mayor Weaver,
Oops.
members of the council and staff. My name is Leon Mayer. I'm here on behalf of the Friends of the Library and the library itself. And we have a lot of events we're still finishing up for October. First of all, the Forgotten Heroes exhibit will be there at the library till Saturday. And we've had a great response to that from not only Glendale, but from some neighboring community school organizations. That's Forgotten Heroes, Armenian Legion, and World War I. Also, for music lovers, we have 2 full country music concerts. One this Saturday, October 19th, that'll be the Earthworm Ensemble. And then November 2nd, Hootenanny. And I'm not much on folk music, so I can just tell you, come if you'd like folk music, either on October 19th or November 2nd. And there's something brewing in the business world to printing. What is 3D printing? Now, those who follow printing and computers and that type of information, 3D printing is a special process that's just recently been transforming manufacturing. And we will have Joan Horvath, Vice President of Business Development at the Pasadena-based 3D printer company, which is called DZ Maker. Okay, now that brings us to what's my cup of tea, so to speak, bringing authors from all over the country, all over the world to the library. And we're going to skip ahead to November 13th, because on November 13th, we're going to have Brian Fagan, Emeritus Professor of Anthropology at the UC Santa Barbara, who will talk about the attacking ocean. And Professor Fagan has lectured all over the country, and he's lectured all over the world. He was educated at Cambridge University, worked in Central Africa before coming to UC Santa Barbara in 1967. He's Emeritus Professor of Anthropology and independent scholar, and also history. And he's the author of numerous journal books on archaeology, ancient climate change, and most recently, the histories of water and ancient seafaring. And he's going to talk about what's happened as far as the ocean and the earth over the past 10,000 years. And being an archaeologist, he's documented that, he's studied it, he's wanted and spoken all over the country, and we're lucky to have him for Wednesday, November 13th. I still have some flyers on that.
Thank you very much, Leon.
Thank you.
So you know, 3D printing is being taught at Glendale Community College.
Yes.
I toured the facilities. Thank you, Leon. Okay, now I have no more cards. Next, please.
Mr. Mayor, next item on the agenda, 8A, is Director of Library, Arts and Culture and Public Works regarding additional architectural services for seismic upgrades, auditorium upgrades, a maker space, a room dedicated to Man's Inhumanity Demand, lower level staff area, design work, and outdoor plaza area enhancements in connection with the Central Library renovation project. A1 is motion authorizing amendment to the agreement with Gruen Associates in the amount of $340,878 and approving contingency of $34,088, bringing total allocated amount for the project to $1,363,866.
Okay, Mr. Ochoa.
Yes, sir. We can just summarize that we have altered the scope of the project somewhat to accommodate a seismic upgrade, some mechanical changes and building system changes, the maker's room, and the room dedicated to commemoration of Man's Inhumanity to Man. Thus, we're asking to alter the amount for professional services agreement with Gruen Associates by $340,000. Project has grown, and thus the design costs have grown with it. If you have any specific questions, our city librarian, Cindy Cleary, is here. If not, entertain a motion.
I think we're all briefed on it. It looks like a great improvement. This is part of the library improvement that was approved before, right?
This is the original project at $10 million. We have expanded it because of the seismic issues in particular, but also some of the other additions based on community feedback. So it's grown to a $15 million project. Generally speaking, you're going to see an increase in design cost to go with it.
It's great. One speaker, Talara Malakian. Can you do it in 2 minutes? Of course, okay.
Good evening, Mayor Weaver and City Council members. I wanted to thank the Council and Library for their time and effort in making the Men's Inhumanity to Man Room a reality. We are excited to see that the Armenian Genocide Memorial Collection will have a room and section of its own. And this was something that the Council adopted years ago, and we're glad to see that now it's a reality, and now the community can have a room to go to in order to commemorate the lives lost during the genocide and to commemorate crimes against humanity. Thank you.
Mr. Sinanian was good at reminding us.
It's been about 13 years. I think it's about time.
Well, time flies, and you get older, you forget things. So thanks for bringing it up again.
Absolutely.
Now hopefully we'll take care of it if there's a motion on 8A1. And is there some? Okay, roll call.
Council members: Friedman?
Yes.
Najarian?
Yes.
Otero? Sinanian?
Yes.
Mayor Weaver?
Aye. Okay, go show up the library. Okay. What is next, please?
8B is Chief of Police regarding request to purchase an automated liquid handling robot manufactured by, sorry if I mispronounced this, Kagan, for the DNA lab with grant funds. At B1 is resolution accepting the United States Department of Justice 2013 DNA backlog grant, dispensing with competitive bidding, and authorizing purchase from Life Technologies Corp. in the amount of $100,000. B2 is a resolution appropriating $100,000 of grant funds for the purchase.
And Mr. Ochoa, this is grant money.
It's grant money, and to the degree that we have our lab validated with this particular vendor, with the robot that we're seeking to procure, and in the time frame we're seeking to procure it, we would ask that we move forward without the normal competitive bidding process. Our Deputy Chief, Carl Povolitis, can give you a brief presentation, particularly if you're curious about what type of robot we're looking to purchase. It's not the Lost in Space kind.
Well, I wouldn't know one robot from another, but I don't know. Do my colleagues have any questions?
I'm the usual.
The usual, yes, sole source.
So a little more explanation as to why we're getting rid of the competitive bidding process, just because there's no one else offering this kind of equipment?
Carl Povolitis, Deputy Chief for the Police Department. Where we're at in the process is we established an initial budget for the DNA lab, and that was procured with some congressional grant funds and some other grant funds. We have become eligible for a second set of grant funding, and so what we're doing is looking to enhance our capability with this purchase. So what we're asking to purchase is exactly what we've purchased before, so that we have 2 liquid handling robots and 2 extraction robots. The rationale behind this is, one, it takes the potential for human error out of the process. 2 is it shortens our time frames for processing DNA. So if we had to do this by a manual extraction process, we'd be looking at 8 to 10 hours of work. It will reduce that time to about an hour and a half. And then finally, we, as the city manager mentioned, we've received our accreditation. Any piece of equipment that we put into that laboratory in order to have it valid in court and to have that evidence admissible has to be validated. That process for us would take 6 to 8 months. So again, with this, what we're looking to do is, where we originally had only budgeted for 1 of each, is to be able to buy a second piece. Counts for downtime. We have 3 people who can work in the DNA lab. It will allow them to work more efficiently. And if you look at where the majority of our crimes is, it's property crimes, it will allow us to move forward with that. So again, where we might be in a few months from now, but right now with a lab just coming off the ground, we'd like to keep it very consistent and right on track with what we've validated.
So it's a timeliness issue as opposed to
it's a timeliness
other
issue.
vendors' issue?
There's only a couple of vendors who manufacture this type of equipment. The price is competitive across the board.
But the key being that we've already validated
We've
for
already
this
validated
particular
this particular equipment. So we're purchasing exactly what we validated.
I understand.
We bought 1 of, now we're buying 1 more of each.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Povolitis.
Thank you, Chief. Is there a motion on A, B, 1 and 2?
Second.
Questions? Roll call.
Council members: Friedman,
Yes.
Najarian,
Yes.
Carroll, Sinanian,
Yes.
Mayor Weaver.
Aye. Thank you. Okay, and 9, do we have to read it into the record?
We have to read it into the record and then have the council move it to continue without further public notice to the 28th.
9 is hearings.
Sure.
9A, please read in the record.
9A is Director of Community Development. This is continued from October 1st, 2013, regarding appeal of Design Review Board approval of application number PDR 1234093 for property located at 4201 Pennsylvania Avenue, including addendum to mitigated negative declaration.
Thank you. And Mr. Ochoa, do we need a motion?
Yeah, I just asked for a motion continuing it to October 22nd without further public notice.
Date certain.
Correct.
So, second.
Okay, roll call.
Council members: Friedman,
Yes.
Najarian,
Yes.
Quintero, Sinanian,
Yes.
Mayor Weaver.
Aye. Next, please.
9B is Director of Public Works. Again, 9B is also a hearing, is Director of Public Works regarding conditional vacation of a certain portion of Arden Avenue and Beulah Street as part of a upcoming Arden Avenue rehabilitation project, vacation case number 169V. B1 is resolution ordering the vacation. B2 is resolution adopting plan number 12-228.
Mr. Ochoa?
Yes, sir. This is a public hearing because we're planning to do the rehab at Arden and Beulah Streets. Presuming that we go along with what the engineers have drawn up, that would render a portion of that street useless to us, as we are doing a better job of aligning the right-of-way. So this would be a conditional vacation. I'm sure Mr. Galani and our city engineer, Deputy Director of Public Works, could answer any specific questions you might have.
Maybe he could respond to the speaker if there's any questions. I'll open the public hearing. Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. Karen Chernello? Chernello? Oh, alley vacation. Thank you.
Street vacation, sorry.
I mean, street vacation, yeah. I'm sorry. That's the one that goes up around a bend. 2 lots are going to gain additional square footage, right? Lucky them. Instead of having property taken away from them, they're gaining property. And it makes for a safer intersection for crossing and whatever. Okay, is there a motion on, I'll close the public hearing. There's a motion on 9B, 1 and 2.
I'll move the items.
Okay, roll call.
Councilmembers Friedman.
Yes.
Najarian.
Yes.
Quintero.
Yes.
Nanyan.
Yes.
Mayor Weaver.
Aye. What's next, please?
Next is oral communication. Discussion is limited time, is not part of this agenda. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes. Council may question or respond to a speaker, but there will be no debate or decision. City manager may refer the matter to the appropriate department for investigation and report. And first card is Hovannes John Markarian.
Good evening.
Your name for the record. Your name for the record.
Okay, my name is Hovannes John Markarian.
Okay.
Thank you. Me and my wife, maybe I can tell good in English, but I try to speak. Me and my wife living in 518 East Cypress, apartment 28. My neighbor, every time she is doing noisy. She has in apartment, in my roof, on apartment, my roof, she put tent. But I don't know why they do that. Several times I tell them don't do noisy, and they don't understand that. I tell to the manager, and they don't take any care about that. I tell to supervisor too. She tell me that, I know that. But the manager tell to my wife that you can go to, what they say, I forgot the name. I have all that pictures. The roof, maybe I will give you that pictures.
You can give them to the city clerk there.
Here is the pictures, you see, like this. All these pictures. I make a pictures, but my wife, when they do too noisy, when they put something on the roof, my wife take a shake. Every time she has a stress, and she start shaking all body, like this, all body. All night she can't sleep. For that I came here to tell you, maybe you will help me about that. But we write to the supervisor that she want to move out. But they don't take a care about that. But they send us the paper that you have to move in 1 month. I don't know. We can't find any apartment to move from there. Well, I don't have a car. I will work like this with can, and she is working with, not wheelchair, with, how they say that, with walker. She work with walker. She has in left side and right side, she has an accident, all metal. She has thyroid, that operation. She can't walk. She can't walk. She can't take on the stair. She can't on the stairs. She can't come down or take up. How to do that, I don't know. Maybe you will help us about that.
We have, and we're getting your phone number, we have your address. If you talk to the city clerk, you'll hear from us.
Sergeant Lorenz can take his information in the back there, if that helps.
And just for the record, it sounds like this gentleman has retaliatory eviction issues as well as just cause eviction defenses as well. And there's a roof. And those who are wondering, there is a tent on his roof.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
With about 10 different code violations that I can think of. But
That's a new one on us, a tent on a roof.
Does not look very safe either.
I'm sorry. Our next speaker is Margaret Hammond, followed by Harry Zuddles.
Good evening, Your Honor, Mayor Weaver, City Council, staff, and audience. My name is Margaret Hammond. Number one, I'm talking about the free bulky item pickup that is available. There is still junk on the corner of Palmer and Reynolds that has been there at least for a couple of weeks, a couch and whatnot, and up and down the streets. They just haven't been picked up. Now, back to the idea of the Tropico neighborhood train station event. I now have a better idea of what that Tropico event was all about. It was about dumping, once again, on South Glendale. As if it wasn't bad enough to build shoddy housing for low income at Algimax and the old Acme rental on Brand and San Fernando Road, now they're having huge apartments are going to be put in without sufficient parking, are being built at the corner of Los Feliz and San Fernando Road. Traffic is already backed up most of the time, a lot of the time, even when it shouldn't be. But wait, you residents of South Glendale, listen to me. We are going to be hosting not one, but two homeless facilities. One is going to be an 80-bed facility at Tyborn, and the other will be a 60-bed facility on San Fernando Court. Now, why? Because Caruso doesn't want them at the Armory. They're too close to Americana. You notice they don't locate them in the north part of Glendale. I think there's one in the north part of Glendale. Every other one is below Colorado, or in the air. Excuse me, I'm allergic to the air conditioning. It sets me off. Anyway, that's because I don't have it at home. But that isn't the final insult. They are planning to locate the Beeline bus maintenance at Brand and Gardena and a bus parking facility in the same area. Talk about adding insult to injury. If that isn't dumping on the area that already has half the city's population, 100,000 in just a small area, I don't know what you would call it. There isn't any other word for it. I don't know. I think the federal government might very well be very interested in what's been going on. It's been going on too long, and it's time that it was stopped. And not only that, but the city has already contracted, apparently, with architects from outside of Glendale. They don't live in Glendale. They don't live even in North Glendale. But, they are drawing up plans for what needs to be done in the area. Who are they to come from outside and tell us what we need, what is happening with our problems? And you talk about ruining our quality of life. I think that if it happened in any other part of the city, it would not be allowed. You just keep doing it and doing it. And you think because people don't realize it until it's too late to do anything about it, then, we can't. Why wouldn't somebody speak up? I've been speaking up for 35 years about what you've been doing to South Glendale. You've never quit. And as a matter of fact, I remember back in the 70s, late 70s, I went to the federal government. Ronald Reagan was president, and that was what my group that I was part of, Concerned Citizens of Glendale, what we finally had to do. And talk about it and show what was going on. So let me tell you, you're not going to get away with it. You're not. The people are down in the area, once they get the idea of what's happening, I'm sure there's going to be enough of us that's going to take a stand about this. But on the other hand, and I have to say, Mr. Najarian, when I go by that park, that pool, on a hot day that's 100 degrees, I think the good Lord must have put a special mark. He will have a special place for you when you get there, because those kids, I mean, I'm not speaking about it, I'm saying, I look at those little kids and they're in that pool and they would not have anywhere to go. And there they are enjoying that pool to the bitter end of the day. They stay as long as they can. Thank you. Okay.
The shelter that's being referred to is the existing Sensia shelter. Sensia is our partner for the continuum of care. They will continue doing the winter shelter at their existing location. They will shut down from there and move to Tyburn. What the private property owner that owns Fernando Court ultimately does with that property is up to the private property owner. So don't quite know about that. I think Ms. Hammond was referring to the South Glendale Community Plan. We are using consultants from all over. We look for the best consultants, best architects, and then go ask the community, of which she is part, what do they want to see, how do they want to see it, and develop a community plan similar to what you have in North Glendale. So,
which was very successful.
Absolutely. So
stay tuned. Okay, Harry Salvos, followed by Mike Mohill.
Council, my name is Harry Zavos. This June, the civil grand jury issued its report surveying 88 LA County cities on various measures of financial health. It ranked cities accordingly on each measure. Glendale ranked low on the measure that looked at revenues versus expenditures. The city manager, with the acquiescence of the council, dismissed Glendale's low ranking, saying in his professional opinion it was garbage in, garbage out. Motivated by his comment, I looked at the report, and I found two things that concerned me, neither of which had to do with the rankings. I repeat, my concern is not with the rankings. First, I saw the grand jury's sole data source came from CAFRs, the various cities' comprehensive annual financial reports audited by outside auditors. Glendale's is submitted for council approval by its director of finance with prior approval of the city manager. Unless the grand jury incorrectly or falsely reported CAFR numbers, I don't understand how the city manager can dismiss the grand jury data as garbage in. Second, I found the CAFR data reported by the grand jury showed that Glendale was spending more than it was taking in. For all city funds, including GWP, the total of all Glendale expenditures for Glendale expenditures last year exceeded 11.2%, and the year before the city spent 9.1% more than it took in. Because I thought this was important, last week I presented this before the City Council. Even though I merely reported what the grand jury stated, the dais responded with characterizations such as sophistry, cursory level of analysis, ridiculous statements, and the old-fashioned poppycock. But not one word about the content of what I said. Not one word whether the grand jury numbers were accurate CAFR numbers. There are some more of those grand jury reported CAFR numbers regarding Glendale. And Artie, could I have my chart? And could you leave it on until I've completed all my remarks. This is CAFR data appearing in the grand jury's Exhibit 4, beginning at page 104 of its report, which anybody can look up. It covers all city funds, including GWP. It shows that the year before, the city spent nearly $27 million more than it took in. And last year, it was nearly $21 million in the red. The report's Exhibit 9, not reproduced here, shows that Glendale's unassigned general fund balance dropped from a little over $63 million in 2011 to under $38 million in 2012. I don't know, but I surmise this explains how the city covered the shortfalls that you see on the screen. I believe these are serious numbers. So I asked those on the dais, are they accurate CAFR numbers? Or are they garbage? Are they inaccurate or falsified? If they are incorrect numbers, if they are correct numbers, is this matter serious enough that it should be shared with the voters rather than having those numbers obscured from public view with the cavalier phrase, garbage in, garbage out? If I and the public could get an honest, direct, and unevasive answer to this question, I would be content afterwards to listen to all the deprecating characterizations the dais might wish to aim at me. Can we get a straightforward answer? Has the city been spending more money than what it takes in, even before the dissolution of the redevelopment agency?
Mr. Zavos, in recent month or so, have you sat with Mr. Elliott or Mr. Ochoa to address your differences?
I have no differences. I was just reporting with the grand jury. I have no differences with them.
No, that's the question. You're saying that we're wrong, and I'm wondering, did you sit with the city manager or Mr. Elliott, finance director, to see?
Can I answer your question, Mr. Mayor? I don't differ at all. I just reported what the grand jury said. The grand jury said it was based on CAFR numbers. The disagreement that the city has is not with me, it's with the CAFR numbers that the grand jury reported.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Ochoa.
Certainly, Mr. Mayor, and I'll be very brief. The problem is that the grand jury selected that which it decided to pay attention to and discounted on their own that which they chose not to, i.e. the general fund transfer to the general fund. One of the reasons why you saw a drop in the general fund balance was the end of redevelopment, the movement of monies out of the general fund that had previously been put there that had to be moved back out pursuant to the Dissolution Act. Also, when you see cities take in or expend more money in a given year, as opposed to how much they may be taking in, it could be capital expenditures in that given year where cities will build up reserves and then spend down those reserves. And so that particular year, you may end up having greater expenditures than revenues, not because you're overspending, because in fact you haven't. You've continued to cut back in double digits in the general fund in particular over the last several years. But that level of analysis is missing from the grand jury. That level of context is missing from the grand jury report. And to me, and maybe I'm wrong, but that just seems awfully cursory and in fact kind of ridiculous.
So you have to, in essence, go analyze if we had any capital improvement projects that drew down. That'd be one.
You're spending considerable millions of dollars on brand and brand library. Money that the council set aside over a period of years that you're drawing down. You've done that on street replacement projects. You've done that on other capital expenses. So to look at the CAFR and then sheepishly look at the council and say, well, if the CAFR says you're spending this amount of money, is more than just a bit disingenuous if you actually know the truth. Now, maybe Mr. Zavos is correct and he doesn't know what he's talking about. And if he doesn't, that's okay, because then we can have him sit down with Mr. Elliott and give him the correct accounting of all of our
because I clearly understand if you're going out with a contract, any 1 year expenditures could be higher at the end of the year.
It's a snapshot, which, again, is what kind of makes it silly.
I encourage you, Mr. Zavos, to either see Mr. Elliott or Mr. Ochoa? Thank you very much. Mike Mohill, followed by Rondi Werner.
Good evening, council members. My name is Mike Mohill. Councilman Aron Najarian, the last time I spoke before this council, I questioned the continued use of the Glendale Fire Department Emergency Medical Technician Program, EMT, rather than returning back to a private ambulance service, EMT, a service your brother called nothing more than a taxi. About 10 years ago, when the city of Glendale was using a private ambulance service, AMR, the taxpayers were spending less than $500,000 annually. Our previous city manager, Jim Starbird, stated and council concurred that by switching to Glendale Fire Department EMT program, the taxpayers would save money. Today, the taxpayers are paying way over $5 million annually for the Glendale Fire Department EMT program. Where are the savings, council members? And why is there no investigation tonight? Councilman Najarian, Fire Chief Scoggins, only a few weeks ago before this council, stated that 85 to 88% of the fire department's time was medical related and not structural or wildfires. At a budget session a couple of weeks ago, Councilwoman Laura Freeman asked our fire chief point blank, was there any difference in the training of a private company EMT program than the one provided by Glendale Fire Department? Our fire chief stated, absolutely no difference. In these harsh economic times, why are we still allowing Glendale firefighters also to have lifetime pensions of over $100,000 annually? Is this fair to the struggling families, to seniors, and to small merchants? Where's the word renegotiate? Isn't it time we look back to returning to a private ambulance service? In order to pay for its broken entitlement system, our city continues regularly to raise our water and electric rates, raise our old fees and new fees, and taxes and bonds. The money from GWP is being transferred annually from the Glendale General Fund, and then the bulk of that money goes for the excessive salaries and pensions of our union workforce. What little money is left over in our utility company is used for its operations. The people's attorney, Professor Harry Zavos, informed the people in our last election of the illegal transfer of GWP monies, and the people agreed with the professor and voted no to council-supported city charter change B and C. Nevertheless, our council members thumbed their nose to the people's vote, and in July, all council members approved transferring another $21 million of the people's money out of GWP into the pockets of our city workforce, the union workforce. The last election, council members Aron Najarian and Laura Freeman both received thousands of dollars in independent expenditure money from our city unions. Councilman Najarian said I was heartless, and 3 times said that I was a monster for questioning the structure of the Glendale Fire Department EMT program. He also stated that my wife used the Glendale Fire Department several years ago when she had a trip and fall near the Adventist Hospital. And I should be thankful that the Glendale firefighters came to her rescue. As usual, Councilman Najarian falsely twisted the truth, as we never called nor used the Glendale Fire Department, sir. The day after the trip and fall, I drove Lorraine to the Adventist Hospital emergency room for treatment and had no involvement whatsoever with the Glendale Fire Department. As Councilman Darren stated, several days later, I went before the City Council and told my story in hopes that our Public Works Department would fix the sidewalks where she tripped. All I asked from the City Council was $175 out of pocket, medical costs, and nothing more. Councilman Najarian, why do you continue to make up stories when you cannot defend your public policies? Yes, Councilman Najarian, I do hope my words will resonate throughout the city and beyond for your character to be indicated. Hopefully one day soon the people will wake up and not vote for any candidate who is endorsed and receives independent expenditure money from our city unions. Thank you. My name is Mike Mohill.
Mr. Mohill, in the last month or two, have you had cause to sit down with somebody in the finance department? Because if indeed we're losing $5 million a year, this council would sure love to know it. Have you sat down and tried to resolve these numbers, differences between you and what we're getting from staff?
Mayor Weaver, it's not my responsibility. It's you, the 5 council people who we elected. And we'd like you to speak with the finance manager.
Sir?
Ask him, where is the money going?
Hey, sir.
Why do we have to keep raising our water electric rates, our trash fees?
Sir, I just asked you a question. We accept what the finance director said. I asked you a question, have you? The answer is no. Thank you. Next speaker is Ron D. Werner.
Are you trying to discount what I've said tonight?
You're done. Ron D. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ron D. Werner, president of the Adams Hill Neighborhood Association and 25-plus year resident of Glendale. Good evening, mayors, city council members, staff, and the Glendale public. This past summer, I participated in a series of meetings as a member of the Community Development Streamlining Task Force for the planning process. This committee of volunteers was assembled to review the planning department's proposals to reduce the time associated with the procedure surrounding remodels, additions, and new construction, among other things. I participated so the homeowners of South Glendale would have a voice. At these meetings, I expressed my concern over the proposed elimination of the CUP process for hillside construction. I said at that time that any lots that had not been developed by now would be likely to be particularly problematic, and that expediting these projects may not give neighboring residents enough time to consider the impacts that these would have on their properties and property value. I was assured that the planning department could be trusted to protect the interest of Glendale's hillside homeowners. I was therefore very disappointed last month that a senior planner has recommended the approval of a CUP and multiple standards variances to construct a 3-story residence on an undersized 4,200 square foot lot with an average slope of 77% in an R1R restricted zone, and asking for a variance against providing the required 2 off-street parking spaces. This street is narrow even by Adams Hill's standards. It's only 18 feet wide. You can only park on one side of the street. And it's a dead end. So it's very difficult for even a small car to turn around on this street. And you can imagine how much more difficult it would be for an emergency vehicle or fire truck to try to enter and exit this street in a timely manner. At the CUP hearing on September 25th, I was among the 7 homeowners who spoke in opposition of this project. The upcoming streamlining measures would deny homeowners like us this forum in the future. Instead, it is my understanding that these hillside projects would head straight to design review, regardless of lot size, the slope, the narrowness of the lot, amount of grading, etc., and without the requirement to address the findings that the CUP process now requires. It is alarming to me that an out-of-town real estate speculator could receive an approval recommendation on an application with so many standards variances and exceptions that are clearly injurious to the nearby property owners. This case is a perfect example of why the CUP process should not be eliminated for hillside construction. Maintaining the CUP process would allow concerned homeowners to protest future controversial hillside developments before they reach the design review stage, where the costs are higher for the developers, as the city, and for the homeowners. Thank you.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah, because I was going to ask Mr. Foy if he...
Well, besides, at some point, and thanks, Wendy, besides hearing about this particular project at some point, I would like to know why, if we have a code that says that lots under a certain size they shouldn't be developed? Do they need a variance?
Yeah, under 7,500 square feet.
Okay, let me ask the staff, Marty. Thanks.
I'm sorry, hold on a second. Is this subject to potential appeal, or has this already been approved? Have all the appeal periods run?
There has not been a decision rendered on that.
Okay. I'd hate to have a discussion, to have a council.
I don't want to have a discussion. I would like to know at some point, because I think there's a lot of confusion in the community, and I'm confused. We have a minimum lot size, and yet we are constantly giving approval for projects to be built on these lot sizes. So I would like some clarity, and I think there's a lot of confusion out there. Does that mean that that you're not supposed to build on those, or just that you review it to give a variance? And we don't need an answer now because it's not agendized. But we hear this over and over again. We have a minimum lot size, and yet the parcel is approved to be built on. So my question to be answered at some future time, because I think the community needs clarity on this, is that minimum lot size only so that we can sort of take a closer look to be sure there's no problem, or is it really something where we're saying we don't want projects built on a lot smaller than a certain size? I've been asking this question since I was on design review, and I've never really understood the answer. I'm not trying to be argumentative. I just really want to know what the answer is. I don't understand it, and I know the community doesn't understand it. I wasn't around when this was adopted, so maybe if I had been there for this discussion, I would. But I think that we need to flesh this out somehow. And it sounds to me like the CUP process isn't working anyway. So if they're just giving approvals all the time, which it sounds like they are, why keep it anyway? But I think that really more germane is what happens with these lots. Why, if there's this rule, is pretty much every single one given the variance, which is what I've seen over the years. I don't think I've ever seen one rejected by staff or by the Planning Commission, although I've seen them overturned on appeal. So I think that's sort of the bigger discussion, which to me is separate from the streamlining, because I think that streamlining or not, the CUP process doesn't seem to be working, because every time these projects go in, they get approved.
Well,
so,
if I may, the CUP issue will be part of the report, is my understanding. It's coming back to the council.
I'll defer very quickly to Mr. Foy, because I thought the hillside development issue, eliminating CUPs in favor of the hillside development permits, that part of the streamlining had been dropped. We did not pursue that.
No, it was part of the task force's recommendation, as well as that will be coming before the council, as well as the Planning Commission's recommendation, that the review of hillside developments instead be part of the site planning review done by the Design Review Board, and giving the Design Review Board the appropriate ability to place conditions the way hearing officers in the Planning Commission.
Including saying no, is that correct?
Oh, yes.
And let me just say, I think it's a very good question. I know I had the discussion. It is a philosophical question, and a question that has significant legal issues involved. So I think it's something that we could discuss as part of agendized thing, because I think it's a very germane discussion that we've had since I've been here.
Right. So that's something I think that as part of this we should really clarify, because it's very, But also, I appreciate you bringing this forward, and I think that we do need to take a look at this when streamlining comes back. In my perspective, it's not working right now. Maybe we can make it work better so that there's a little bit more clarity for developers and for the neighborhoods. So I'm glad you brought it forward. And staff, when streamlining comes back, let's make sure that we isolate this issue and give it some time in your presentation so that we can have a discussion.
And just for absolute clarity's sake, and I'm sure Ms. Warner would remember, anything that would be proposed to happen in front of a hearing officer without a formal public hearing as it is today can always be punted by that hearing officer in the face of controversy, so that you would still have a public hearing. So the idea was to streamline those things that are really mundane, rudimentary, and allow folks to move through our process. Anything that was fairly controversial would be kicked up, because we ultimately anticipate it's going to be appealed anyway. So it's a little bit...
Well, it bumped up to design review, but now you're saying those would always go to design review because they're new construction.
A hillside permit, as Mr. Foy indicated, is always going to end up at design review, because no hearing officer is going to be able to make that determination on their own without somebody appealing it anyway.
Right, but at that point, the homeowners are given very little time to consider anything, and then they have to pay a fee to oppose it.
It's still
according to the
only if they appeal.
Only if they have to appeal, but it would be going to, when the streamlining takes effect, presuming it takes effect if council does approve it, then what would be in place would be this type of hearing officer, except that the hearing officer, and I can practically guarantee you that anytime you would have anything in a hillside, which is always going to be controversial, it's automatically going to go to a DRB hearing.
I'm sorry, I'm just, we're starting to get into far field of a discussion here, and I mean, there are no easy answers to these questions. I know that we'll be discussing this both before the Planning Commission and the Council, and following up on these questions. So certainly, if the Council has questions that we all need to follow up on before it comes back, I just don't want to.
When is the streamlining work coming before us? When are we going to see the streamlining?
It's only 2 months left in the year. Is it going to be this year?
Tentatively scheduled for November 5th.
There you go.
Yes.
Okay. I think that does it. Is there anything left?
Move to adjourn.
Is there any new business?
Is there a second?
Second.
We're adjourned at 8:20 p.m.